Good morning and welcome AccountingWEB members to our live webinar on tackling practice bottlenecks, brought to you with thanks to our kind sponsors at cloud accounting software firm Xero. This webinar is based on findings from a tax season survey AccountingWEB and Xero carried out pretty recently on the site. So you may have seen it. We've been tweeting about it and writing articles about it. Over 1,000 practitioners shared their experiences from this year's tax season, so what they did differently, and what worked for them and what didn't. Just to introduce myself, I'm Rachel Power. I'm the community correspondent of AccountingWEB and I'll be the host of the webinar today. And joining me is editor John Stokdyk, so I'll let him introduce himself and say hello. Hi, John.
Good morning, everybody. Good. I hope people know me. I've been with the site 15 years and spend all my time looking at the traffic figures and survey results to see what's happening in the lives of our members. So looking forward to sharing that with you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, John. And also we've got award-winning accountant Linda Frier from Coalesco, who's been very kind to join us this morning. Her firm was the small firm category winner in AccountingWeb's Practice Excellence Awards in 2013. So I'll say hello to Linda now. Hiya. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, thank you.
Brilliant. So as I said, the aim of today will be to explore how your firm can improve its efficiency and enhance client services. So we'll be running through different topics such as, how did self-assessment season go this year? How did it compare to last year? What are your biggest headaches? What have you done to improve them? And insight, obviously, from Linda's firm. So she's built a really efficient practice and she's an award-winning firm. So just some housekeeping around today's webinar. It's going to be about 40-45 minutes with time for questions throughout and at the end. If you are first to our live webinars, you'll see on the corner of your screen or on the side of the screen, there's a Cover It Live box. So if John asks a question throughout, or if there's any comments, anything you want to tell us about, you can just write it in there. We'll see it and we'll try and answer it. We're also going to have polls throughout as well, so if you see one of these popping up on your Cover It Live box, we'd really like you to answer and get involved because we really want to hear your views. And also you can tweet us, so at AccountingWEB UK, and you can use the hashtag AWebQA. We'll also see those tweets and try to answer them too. So any questions we don't answer, we'll aim to include in the report, which is going to be produced at the end. It's going to be based on this webinar and on the survey. And if you have to duck out at any stage during this webinar, don't worry about it because it'll be recorded and it'll be available on this page, well, forever. So let's get started. I think John is going to introduce some of the key findings of the survey. Hi, John.
Okay, thank you very much, Rachel. We'll probably sort of touch back and forth between the survey results and kind of Linda's interpretation and analysis, because so we'll sort of test the findings of experiences of our members, and as I say, anyone, if you think the survey doesn't agree with your experiences, or you've got something from your own firm during tax season, throw it into the Cover It Live box and we'll try and mix that up with the conversation as well. So the first insight I have is that our results this year seemed to suggest that this January 2014, was a little bit easier than the previous year. 51% of our members in the survey said it was the same as ever. We had 28% who, so that's more than a quarter, said they'd done things in the past year either through client management or technology solutions that had actually make things run better. Then if we're always a bit silly, we kind of say, what are you doing immediately after the deadline? Last year, 79% were back in the office the day after. This year it was up 6%, so 85%. It's the norm just to be back at your office. The thing I think makes us think that it's not quite as stressful is that the number of people who recuperate at home, that halved this year. So just 3% needed to lock themselves in a darkened room and watch a video box set for a week. So, and we also had fewer skiers and holiday makers, so that was down 8%. So there's things elsewhere as well suggest that it did run more smoothly for people. So Linda, first question was, this tax year easier for your firm?
I did complete the Xero tax season survey and I teach the same as ever box. However, I do think that as we have a less stressful season than some of our colleagues also in their own small firms. Our fee income year on year decreased in the 2 months, which was the second year in succession, and that continues to be our objective.
Do you think RTI was that? That's my feeling, is that, and I think a couple of the respondents said that RTI, they didn't have that overhanging over their heads this year. You've got any explanations for why people might have got to handle it? I mean, people doing this last year's survey, there were quite a lot planning to do things with, sacking client. There was a lot of activism evident last year, so maybe people were part of those 28% who did do something. I mean, have you got any interpretation for why it might have lessened for the wider profession?
I agree with your comments there wholeheartedly, John, as to that I would concur with that completely in the survey.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's before we get on, what we don't know about Coalesco is just how many tax returns your firm deals with, and then maybe in that last period, are you also doing quite a lot of final accounts? The combined package for a lot of your clients.
Yes, certainly in the last 2 months. We completed 21% of our business accounts. So yes, it is a very busy time for us. But as I say, that is decreasing year on year.
Right. The actual number of clients is decreasing, or just the number that you do in the final period?
Oh, sorry, no. The number of clients that we're dealing with during the final period as a percentage of our total clients is decreasing year on year, John.
Okay, because we did have a small number of people, that was 8%, for whom the self-assessment workload dropped. We'll return to that, but I was glad that you weren't in that, unless by choice you weren't in that group. Let's move on to the real meat of the survey, is the niggles that affect our members. This year, 73.8, so basically 74%, almost 3/4 of our respondents griped about lazy and late clients. There's another 7.6% talked about internal bottlenecks. One of the second biggest group we had were people talking about HMRC's service quality. And the only problem is that there's really not a lot we can do about that. So we'll park that for this webinar, but maybe that there are initiatives going on elsewhere, and we'll join in them on AccountingWEB. And then finally, there were 3% who mentioned problems they had with dealing with new legislation. So this is the time for our first poll. Just to help steer this session, if you're taking part, could you please vote in our poll in the audience and let us know which of those options most affected you during this season. And while the vote's going on, Linda, did those niggles match your experience?
Yes, most certainly. The worst niggle for me will always be that of late clients. I think in our profession, very few clients have an appreciation of how stressful that period is for us. And I can't imagine that we'll be able to get those very late people to ever change. Our largest challenge apart from that is actually the management of clients' expectations when they've already completed their tax return and they can't understand why we're struggling to achieve our normal high standards because we're obviously chasing an external deadline for so many clients.
You've already succeeded in limiting the kind of final 2 months group down to 1/5 of your clients. What sorts of things have you done to attenuate the workload and bring more of it forward? We have processes in place where we're asking clients for their information, and that commences in April of each year. But it really hots up from us regarding this in the September period. It actually results in October being our highest fee earning month. There's 3 aspects to this process that I'd like to emphasise and share with the audience at this point, if that's okay, John. Yeah, we encourage clients to upload
documents into our client area on our portal when they receive them. So, for example, when the pension form P60 drops through the letterbox, we do encourage those to be uploaded on a timely basis throughout the year, rather than in one lump, effectively. In November, for those clients that we still haven't completed their self-assessment tax return, we actually telephone them. I think the human voice counts for so much nowadays. And we explain to them what we need, or what we still need, and we follow this up with an email or a letter. And in there, we express our final deadline to receive this completed information from them. And that's, we guarantee that we'll meet the 31st of January deadline if we receive their information by Christmas Eve. If they arrive on Christmas Eve, it'd be nice if that was accompanied by chocolates, biscuits, wine, etc. And then each time we have contact with a client from the 1st of November, regardless of who that client speaks to, we take from our central database the record and our notes, and we ensure that information that we're waiting for their tax return, that they're aware of that they've remembered that, and that deadline of Christmas Eve, they understand fully. And as I say, that's from all staff members at Coalesco, not just myself, John. Mm-hmm. What we also have is we have a different email footer, and so when we're corresponding with clients by email, if they haven't completed their tax return, we state a reminder on the bottom of our email with both the internal and external deadline on there. So we touch our clients in lots of ways when we're requesting the information to try and drive the information in part and full back into Coalesco when we can.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we're sorry, just to jump in, John, we've got the results of our poll, if you're interested in hearing those. So the top problem for most accountants watching this webinar was lazy or late clients, with nearly 80%. Then practice bottlenecks follows by 10%, and HMRC service quality another 10%. We've also got a question for you, Linda, for one member about late clients, and is, how do you decide if a late client is worth it?
I think what I've begun to develop over the last few years is that when we're speaking to prospects at our initial meeting with them, we always ask them at what time of year they complete their tax return. If we have clients that say, or potential clients that say, oh, I'm a December, I'm a January client, excuse me, we're really beginning to question whether they're worth that for our business. We try and encourage them at that initial meeting to maybe become an August or a September client, to really understand what the issue is and why they've always been it to come into their incumbent accountant. We weight our fees, in all honesty, for prospective clients now, so that if they are going to continue to be a December, January client, then we do actually weight that fee proposal that goes to them. So I run very much a risk-reward practice from that mentality now, in that if they do then become a client, that at least we're being rewarded for the additional work that we know we're going to have to undertake to bring them up to speed and on board.
Okay, very interesting. Thanks for that question. That was quite a nice one. And do keep them coming. Rachel will just, as long as Linda doesn't mind being interrupted, I've got a bundle of questions here, but Rachel will break in and put your questions to Linda or me if you want to talk about the survey. Linda, it wasn't a significant factor in the for the people in the webinar, but I'm still interested in the impact of new legislation on tax niggle. I mean, this year we did get not a lot of flack, but it seemed like the higher income child benefit charge was cropping up on any answers, and did seem to be, a new twist for practitioners. Was it an issue at Coalesco?
Yes, it was. I think this was a really interesting one, John. We were very aware of this and very nervy, certainly about the child benefit charges. What we did was we communicated regularly through our monthly email shots to our clients that they needed to collate that information, and also the interest on the PPI settlements as well. We specifically asked clients for this information on our data collation sheets. And then when we were chasing clients for information, both verbally and in writing, we specifically included these items. I think we would all agree that clients are very much creatures of habit. Of these are the pieces of information we always give. But we were very wary of the child benefit charges, since so many individuals were feeding back that they felt that this was their partner's income. So it was a very different concept from HMRC that we had to communicate with our clients, and I'm sure everybody else did as well. So that one hurt. That was a sting, I have to say, John.
Did it take more than kind of one pass to get the message through? And how did you manage? I think we've already spotted in your philosophy that
I think it did, because it was such a different concept, John.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and as I say, I think we're going to move on to technological solutions too. But I do get. Is it fair to summarise that a lot of these mechanisms and processes actually ultimately boil down to human relationships and communication? That seems what you do so successfully at Coalesco. Is there any tips or suggestions you can suggest practitioners who maybe do keep people at arm's length during the year? Any way they can break the ice and begin to create that closer, responsive relationship you've got with your clients?
I do firmly believe that Coalesco is built on those relationships, and I would always say to clients and other practitioners that they should be doing absolutely the same. I wear my heart on my sleeve very much during the tax season, and when I am frustrated, I don't tell clients that I'm frustrated, but I do very much tell them the stress and what we're trying to achieve, and quite often I'm quite open about the number of tax returns that we're still trying to complete on behalf of lazy clients, for want of a better word. So yes, I've always been known to be quite an emotional person, and it is very important, I think, when we are building relationships with clients, to be very open and honest both ways. We often listen to their gripes. Maybe they should listen to ours for a couple of minutes too.
And even playing the guilt card sometimes might actually work. That's a good one. That's an interesting one. Okay, well, this is getting a bit emotional and fuzzy for me. I'm a tech man, so let's maybe move on to some of the kind of improvement ideas that our members and you've been through. This was an area in the survey that did give us a few hints about progress that has been made over the past year. So again, chasing clients early was the thing that most people said they'd do this year. That was 40% of our respondents said that. And interesting, that was much lower on the list last year. It actually went up 29%, the chasing clients early. So your advice and ideas there are a big help for 4 out of 10 of our respondents. Premium fees, so penalising people or giving them an incentive to come in early, that was dropped down slightly, but it was still a strategy that 38% plan to do this year. Better organising yourselves and your staff was 27% this year, and that again was way up on last year, where only 5% put that option. Sacking clients, I guess in the current environment, that's dropped right out of popularity, or shot up in popularity, sorry. That's gone up 22% to 23%, so almost nobody considered that last year, yet they are working it there. And finally, we had an 11% bunch of respondents fairly regular. They said things ran smoothly for them, so lucky for you guys there. Again, well, I guess the fee strategies one is an interesting. It is still quite a popular one, but less so. Have you grappled with it? You talked. Actually, you did already tell us you have kind of worked that into your whole approach to clients. But is that something you've done quite recently, or has it always been in there for Coalesco? This was the sort of the new clients. If they're late, you tend to. Oops.
No, it hasn't already.
Okay.
Just to interrupt again, I've got another question here, which is from our guest, an unnamed guest. Is it many cases missing information which holds back completing and filing of tax return? How do you deal with? Simply dropping the client is certainly not the solution. What do you think about this, Linda?
I think this is a really interesting area, and it's something that is a real frustration for me when you're missing the one or two pieces of final information. Would you like me at this stage, Rachel, to maybe deal with how we chase that information back in at Coalesco from a practical point of view? Would that help?
Yeah, I think that would be helpful to remember. What do you think, John?
Yep, go for it.
Brilliant.
Okay. So where we have a piece of missing information and the deadline's approaching rapidly, I'm sure we all know that feeling. We email the client in the first instance asking for that information, and we follow that up with a telephone call on the same day. That telephone call isn't from me. And we clarify receipt of that request for information, and we ask for an anticipated delivery date. We log that delivery date onto our system, and if at 4 o'clock on that date of delivery we haven't had that information back, we telephone them again, we express the urgency, and we also express that they're at the bottom of our list, since missing information puts them back to the bottom basically, and we run very much a first in, first out system. We go through this delivery date loop until we get the information either in person, where we don't ask them to make an appointment, we just allow them to drop that in, obviously through our portal, by email, or if it's information that can be provided over the telephone, then that's great. If we do need to meet at this late stage to discuss the information and requirements, then we send an agenda in advance of that meeting. And at the meeting, I document the action points and the discussion that took place in my bestest handwriting, and I give them a big paper photocopy of those meeting minutes to take away with them, with the agreed deadlines all in place. So it's not something that I go back, read around the loop, retyping, or having to follow up with an email yet again after the meeting. So just trying to decrease the time in that process, basically. There you go, Coalesco.
Thanks very much, Linda. Cheers. Back to you, John.
Okay, I'm be quite interested now, Linda. We've talked about the personal things, the communication things. How much do you rely on technology to facilitate and manage the relationships and the chasing and the reminders and the progress points? You know, you've got the handwritten deadlines you give clients. I mean, do you stick them in a reminder system that you ring up and give them a rocket if they miss it and things?
Most definitely. Without question, we rely on technology really heavily at Coalesco. That's how we run a really cost-effective small practice with lots of clients and actually very low staff numbers, in all honesty. If we take the technology, and I think we need to break it down into a number of different areas for this discussion, John. First thing that we did, we obviously have a database. I've expressed that in great depth. Something that we did this year that we haven't done in the past is, it wasn't a great task and I didn't do it, I will admit, but we undertook an exercise in mid-November where we checked the quality of the data in our own database against the HMRC database, obviously through our agent login. This was to check that the outstanding tax returns that we had showing on our database were in line with those that the HMRC were expecting. And we did actually find a couple of records in that process that we were not expecting to complete tax returns for the clients, and they were the type of clients that were never going to remember to tell us about the brown envelope as well. So that was a really good exercise, and I would recommend that people do that. And we also undertook that exercise again on the 29th of January, so just a couple of days before the deadline, to make sure that there was no filings that had been missed on our part or any discrepancies again between the two databases, basically. So that's just a little tip of something that we did as a one-off relating to the technology that we use in our business. We use technology very heavily, as I have said, in our processes so far, about chasing and reminding our clients. Our database drives automated reminders and ensures that specific requests that we make in our internal processes allow us all to have the complete information within our practice.
And sorry to interrupt, Linda, but which system is that?
We use a system called HQ.
Ah, okay. Excellent.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. We find that as a really good contact management data tool, undoubtedly. Okay. It's not Xero. Okay. We obviously have our portal. Our portal was new to us back in September 2012, so that's the client portal where our clients can log on, as I say, throughout the year and drop information into that in a secure manner. And we also use that for electronic signature.
And which one might that be? Do you make any? Would you recommend it to other members of the forum?
That is actually a bespoke system to us. That's something that we've paid to have built ourselves. Okay, sorry about that.
While we're on the subject as well, actually we've got a member asking a question called Jeff, and he wants to know if you've got a service provider for email communications, or is that in-house?
That's in-house.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, sorry, I can't help with that one.
Okay, so that was kind of the database element we've dealt with.
Yes.
Incomplete records we didn't sort of get specific figures this year, but that's all again as the crunch comes. Getting them in and turning them around quickly is one secret of success. Or maybe you never have incomplete record jobs, but when they do, what are the tools you use for that? And have you sort of cracked that that kind of knot?
No, can I need a hand. I think that's a frustration to us all, isn't it? And I think you take each job in isolation and individuality and make decisions based upon that, based on your experience and your knowledge and what it is that you are able to do. So yeah, I think that's a very big issue for all practitioners.
So what will you use if you have a shoebox, or do you get faced with shoeboxes? You know, and the tool you choose to bang it all in and just get a some summary P&L out quickly. Which tools do you use for that?
In honest, we're very much Excel work in paper office. We find it as a really good shoebox job to get that information through. And in honesty, we usually take that and do batch processing into VT transactions, plus as a very simple tool to get the information through, and often use that as our final accounts for small limited companies or small sole traders.
But presumably, are you more oriented towards working with your business clients on a cloud system? Is that sort of your preferred platform and method for?
I think I think we need to look at that question in 2 points. I think that cloud accounting is fantastic. If anybody's heard me speak before, then we are an accredited Xero partner, and we do very much enjoy working with our clients on the cloud, because the collaboration of data, etc. We all understand the benefits, and we're all beginning to see those maybe in our own businesses. I think we have to be realistic, and Coalesco has been very thought up on the philosophy of allowing our clients to present us with their information in the way that they want to and the way that they're comfortable with. So we still do have a lot of clients using lots of different software packages, and also the shoebox carrier bag, manual paper and Excel jobs as well. And we don't put pressure on any of our clients to do what we tell them to do. And also there is a cost from the cloud accounting point of view, and that is obviously quite significant when we're looking at small micro businesses. So it is about getting the balance right in each individual case, John.
Okay. Are there any other technology options or tools or tricks that you would pass on to the audience?
As I say, we use our internal database very much to manage the internal workflows of our business, to ensure that milestones are met and we can all see at a snapshot point of view as to where we are at a job. Just going back a little bit maybe, but in terms of process, we had a gatekeeper system in place this year, just to try to ensure that through the use of our database that each day we allocated a gatekeeper within the business. That person was responsible for the telephones, the emails and the door opening on that day. Because of the technology that we have in place, they can see where we're at on each job. I'm sure we all get frustrated that somebody drops their papers in on the 20th of January and on the 21st of January is desperate for that information back because all of a sudden panic mode is set in. And of course, all they want to do at that point is talk to the person that they think is doing that work, which is me. So it's very much the use of technology to allow us to be able to communicate back to our clients exactly where we're at. We also do manage their expectations, again, through our database and our workflow planning as to when they drop their jobs back into us or their information comes back through to us. We give them an expected time that they'll hear back from us. Again, I'm sure a lot of the audience have the same feeling that they feel that the job's done because they've dropped their shoebox in at last to you, or their reconciled sage or whatever it happens to be. But we know that that's not the case, and there's still many more steps to go. So we make that very clear and manage their expectations all the time.
I do like that. You always sort of have the human element in front of the technology. So you're highly automated.
I'm sorry, John. I know you like the techie side.
Yeah. No, but it's a very astute approach. I really can't admire you enough for that.
Thank you.
We do have another techie question though for you. Sorry, Linda, to keep going on about this. But, do you use cloud storage systems, and what collaborative cloud storage do you know of?
We do, with our Xero clients, use the document storage facilities that are available, and in terms of our own internal systems, we have all of our servers are backed up into the cloud, so we do have document storage at that level as well.
Brilliant, thanks for answering that.
Okay, I think let's get into the final bit about what everyone's going to be doing over the next year to make things better. So, Linda, I guess if I go back over that, with the survey findings, we had interestingly 42% of our respondents were happy with their existing. They really couldn't do much more. I think our report will. I think we'll look into the sort of psychology and the profiles of firms and who's more likely to be like that. Another 31% had said they'd made changes over the past year that had done what they needed. So we have kind of nearly 3/4, 73%, who really don't feel the need to improve that much. Then 12% want to extend automation and integrate their systems. We have 8.5% in the survey want to embrace either hosted or cloud applications, and finally another 6% want to improve their tax and practice tools. So that's how, it's a minority who are looking to improve things. But if you look back at what you've done in the past, Linda, what had the most impact and most effect on your efficiency in tax season?
Okay, well, I think one of the main changes that we undertook this year, which probably was the most different that we've done in the past, and it's something that I'd be interested to hear also back as to what other practitioners have done this or felt in the past. But we employed an individual for the months of December and January to provide additional resource within the business. The objective of this person was actually to fulfill the tasks that we complete on a weekly or monthly basis for the clients that are unaffected by the tax season. So I'm referring to payroll, VAT returns for the 30th of November and 31st of December, and the bookkeeping for clients that we maybe have on Xero now, and that was the first time we've been through a year with Xero in our business, and of course any limited company works that come in. I thought that worked extremely well by keeping them off of the non-pressurized tax deadline works, but it did work extremely well in our business, and I will be doing that again this year, that's for sure. So that was very interesting. The portal, as I say, it was the first time that we had the portal in our business for the full fiscal year. We had it around the year end last year, but we didn't actually have it for the whole year. So this encouragement of getting clients to put their information into a secure area throughout the year rather than waiting for one big hit, I think is definitely something that small practitioners will see becoming more and more beneficial within their businesses. The impact of using Xero, we're yet to see, because we became accredited partners in May 2013. So this will be our first tax year where we've got clients that we've been working closely with on Xero. So that's going to be very interesting for us to see, but we anticipate and expect good things from that as well. Our database really makes our business work, I have to say. It does give us the key points and that one view of the data to ensure that we're all able to be able to communicate with the client. Again, I would recommend, very much within any small business.
Excellent, thanks. Okay, unless there's any relevant questions from the floor, I think maybe let's put a question to the audience, Rachel. So I think you might as well introduce that. So this be the what people are thinking of doing over the next 12 months. Let's put that out there. So
brilliant. So if you've made any adjustments this year, what's had the most impact is the poll that's going out now. So you'll see it pop up on the Cover It Live box right beside the webinar screen. So please do answer that. We really want to hear from you. Keep your questions and comments coming as well, because we're really interested to hear what you think.
Okay, now so Linda, out of chasing clients early, premium fees, managing clients or sacking them, as we put in the thing, the portal, cloud accounts, or more integration. I mean, are there? One of the things that seems to come across about Coalesco is you're not one of those 70-odd% firms who just sort of thinks you've done enough. You seem to be always looking for new improvements. So if you are, what might those be in the next year? You've talked about, say, Xero, but what other areas might you look into doing in the next 12 months while we wait for the results?
Okay, we need to get more people to be using the portal. The portal is something very different in the business, and not many clients that we've had that have used an accountant in the past have used such technology. So that's very, very new. But I do, as I say, and I just said, I do think that's a highly beneficial way. We will continually make investment in our database and in terms of what we're doing in that area. One of the things that I want to start looking at is the information that we can get from the system on things like when the tax return was completed for the client in the previous year, when we received their data from them, so that we can start to manage our workload even closer than what we do at the moment. I also am very conscious that I spoke earlier about how we ask clients when they're going to bring their information into us and structure that into our fee. What I need to get better at is monitoring when they actually do bring that information in comparison to when they promised, and therefore what that fee should be. It may be in comparison to the proposal that we put out to them. So that's one of my objectives. I know that there are accountants out there that do the fine and the penalty system in terms of not bringing information in to those deadlines. And that's something that we need to start looking at as well. I do agree.
Brilliant. We're going to look at some of the poll results now. So I'm just going to get these fed to me. Hopefully you've all been answering the poll. So here they come. So the top thing that people have done, the adjustments they've made that have made the most impact, is 87% said chasing clients.
Okay.
Yeah. So does this surprise you, or is it in line with what you've seen, Linda? Brilliant. And another 11% say...
it's exactly the premise of what Coalesco is based on, so I would agree.
Brilliant. Well, another 11% say integrated software, has improved things for them this year as well. So would you also agree with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
What tax and practice tools are you using, Linda, if you don't mind me prying again? So that would be your accounts production and tax software.
No, that's okay. As I say, for our bookkeeping, straight small jobs, we use BT Transactions Plus. We use that as our main software tool in terms of accountancy. We use the formerly Dremel software in terms of tax, so our corporation tax and our personal tax returns. As I say, we have a bespoke tool in terms of our portal, and we use HQ for our database. We are taking on a significant number of clients through to the Xero package, so we're very close to being a silver member, which has been our objective for our first year, so we need to achieve that by the 31st of May.
Okay, and have you ever had the urge, or do you feel the need to combine them together? Do they all feed successfully into the, are you able to pull data from those different packages into your client database system, for example?
No, we're not, and that's one of the things that I would love somebody out there to have, a fully integrated system that I liked all the parts to, but I'm yet to find it.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're probably, after saying that, you're probably going to get pounced on by 27 software salespeople, for which we apologise, but thanks.
No problems whatsoever, John.
So, Rachel, how are the questions coming? Is there any? I think we're into the final countdown. What's going on amongst the audience? And what do they have, questions they have for Linda?
There's a very, very good question, actually, from someone called Rusty Nail, who wants to know, can I come work for you, Linda?
Drop me an email.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I'm going to compile a few more questions for you now. Just have a look at the Cover It Live box. Okay, so there's one on recruitment, actually, another one. Does the way you run your firm have an effect on who you hire?
Yes, most definitely. I very much run a team that is based on everybody having a general practice background, everybody having general compliance skills, but I recruit very much for personality and not for a specific skill set.
Brilliant. So what kind of personality would you have to work for you, Linda?
We're very customer service driven in everything we've said, and obviously one of the reasons that we won the Practice Excellence Awards. So it's about very much understanding the clients and having the commercial acumen, but very much an all-rounder that wants to put the client first and follow internal process. There you go, Rusty Nail. You know what you need to say on your CV now.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Linda. We've also got another technology-related question which has come in from Twitter. It says, do you only use Xero?
No, not at all. As I say, from an accounts point of view, then we allow our clients to use whatever software packages they've either used historically or what works for their business. I'm a firm believer in management information. I do believe that cloud accounting is the way forward, but the uptake, I think, will be perhaps slower than what the industry suggests at the moment.
Brilliant.
Certainly in the micro business marketplace. But no, we allow our clients to use what they want them to, but if we can see benefits from an alternative accounting package, we will explore them always with the client.
Excellent. There's another question here as well that says, do you think that you might use other Xero products when they come out?
Yes, certainly. We will definitely explore the whole Xero package. So there are limitations of Xero. Job costing is a frustration, and I think it's a frustration that's held by a lot of accredited partners at the moment. So we do have clients waiting in the wings for such developments as that. And obviously they don't have a payroll offering at this stage, but payroll would be something that I'd be very interested to explore with Xero in the future, yes.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Linda. John, if you've no further questions, shall we?
I'm done. I just want to say, Linda, that was really brilliant. Just a great education and some really nice ideas, even if people can't embrace your overall client care philosophy, because I think that's a really that is just a whole attitude to life and practice. But I think you've still given 3 or 4 really, really top-notch ideas just to sort of tweak things and make them better. So thank you on behalf of all the AccountingWEB members and from me, because I really enjoyed hearing that, and we'll be stealing lots of your suggestions for our final report, which will be produced in a week or two. So thanks again for everything you've done this today, and we hope to hear from you again soon.
Thank you so much, everybody. I've really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Linda, for joining us, and thanks, John, for joining us as well on this webinar. I'd also like to say a really big thank you to our sponsor, Xero, and also, if you have missed any of this webinar, or if you're just coming to it for the first time, you can watch it back again, because it will be on this page recorded pretty much straight away afterwards. Also, as John says, the report will be out pretty soon as well, so do keep an eye out on site for that. And if you have any further questions or comments about this, you can still tweet them at us, you can still put them in the Cover It Live box, and we will aim to answer them in the report. So thank you very much, everyone.
Bye-bye.